Planet Earth is a nurturing cradle for all kinds of life forms, some familiar to us and some not. But there are creatures which coexist with us that are so bizarre, so unusual, that it might seem like something straight off of a horror fiction. Well, we're here to show you that not all bizarre life forms are too far-fetched to be a reality. Here are the 12 most bizarre animals that live in volcanoes, and they'll surprise you. Before we get started, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more amazing content. Number 12. Pacific Sleeper Shark. A marine biologist might be the last profession in the mind of a tech geek, mostly because there's a considerable amount of time spent in dumping expensive equipment into the sea, and more often than not it sustains a few nicks and dings in the process. Not something any tech geek would fancy. But without these pricey gadgets, we wouldn't have discovered most of the things we've discovered underwater, including a rare sighting of sharks never before seen. Sleeper sharks are deep-dwelling, slow-moving sharks which include various species like the Pacific sleeper and the Greenland shark. Oddly, they're extremely territorial and don't travel away unless forced to. The shark in this footage is in a location it shouldn't be in, but this one was found on the east of Papua New Guinea. These sharks are usually found in the normal range, which is the northern Pacific. To say the least, scientists were ecstatic about this discovery, and to make things even more interesting, the sleeper has taken a liking to the underwater volcanoes. The mystery shark's colour matches that of the Pacific sleeper, so do its gills, which confirms that it is indeed a Pacific sleeper shark. This historic discovery goes down as the strangest occurrence of migration in nature. Nature experts are anxiously studying and waiting to see if more sleepers will follow suit. Until then, we'll wait and see. Number 11. Black Dragonfish. These tiny little horror shows live in volcanoes and can survive extreme temperatures. To make them even more horrifying, the dragonfish is equipped with a dangerous set of chompers. Just look at them. Experts say that this mystery fish can live inside the volcano's extreme heat conditions and even events which exhume steam. What's even stranger, their teeth are so sharp and so fine that they're translucent. They also don't have any scales and appear more like an eel than a fish. Luckily, most of us would never have to witness this freak of nature, since they live in the depths of the ocean floor. Number 10. Volcano Cricket. Recently, the Kilauea volcano in Hawaii had its most violent eruption in decades. Rivers of molten lava flowed their way across the island, swallowing up roads, parked cars, houses, people, and even marinas and boats. For months on end, it spewed and spewed lava, and once the volcano had the time to cool off, it left in its wake tendrils of hardened rock. But for one creature, this event wasn't a tragedy. The volcano or lava cricket is a new species that has taken mass devastation and created an entire new colony that thrives off the mineral rock left behind by the hardened lava. According to experts, this cricket is the first multicellular life form to take up residence here. We know very little about this mysterious creature. Only now scientists are studying how these creatures not only survive but also thrive in these harsh conditions. It's a fascinating discovery and shows how life forms around the world are adapting around the increasing intensities of natural disasters. Humans better jump on the bandwagon soon and adapt as well. Number 9. Scaly-foot snail. The scaly-foot snail has a strange fact attached to it. They're the first species which are labelled as endangered as a direct result of humans and deep-sea mining. So what makes them so fascinating to be on this list? Well, for starters, they have the most enormous heart in relation to the body size in the entire animal kingdom. The reason for such a large heart is so that the snail can survive in an environment where oxygen is nearly non-existent. They can be found in a few rare places like hydrothermal vents and near underwater volcanoes. This makes them extremely rare to find, but easy if you know where some of the underwater volcanoes are. What's even crazier, these are the only known creatures on the planet which grow metal bones. Yes, you heard it right. Metal bones. Their bones contain high traces of metallic substances, giving them extraordinary durability. Probably another reason why they can survive the intense heat of underwater volcanoes. Number 8. Kiwa crabs. This creepy guy looks more like a spider than a crab. It's hairy, it's elusive, and it's as rare as they come, and it's called the Kiwa crab. It's the newest member of the Yeti crab family. They grow from the range of half a foot to under an inch, and that's a broad difference in size within the same species. Much like other discoveries listed here, these guys were found near volcanic vents and areas where volcanic activity is present. They simply can't live in other areas. Experts believe that studying these novel creatures can give them insight into volcanoes and volcanic activity, which has been somewhat impossible even with today's technology. We're talking about temperatures of steam which can reach up to 700 degrees Fahrenheit. Humans wouldn't be able to get near it, let alone study it. Number 7. Tube worm. These strange worms may look like plants swaying at the bottom of the ocean floor, but they're much, much more. These mysterious creatures have been completely unknown to the experts who conduct deep-sea experiments, and more specifically deep hydro vents, an opening at the bottom of the ocean where the volcanic heat is escaping and is rich in toxic chemicals. The tube worms seem to thrive and feed off these vents which spew out this toxic steam. We're talking about a place so deep in the ocean where water is literally boiling, but somehow these creatures are thriving. To make matters even more difficult for studying, these creatures are found in places with a complete absence of light. So even if humans can dive deep enough and survive the heat and pressure of this environment, they still have to deal with the utter blackness of the ocean floor where the tube worms survive. The organisms which live near the vent are unique in that they don't depend on sunlight for their survival like others. Instead, they feed on tiny bacteria which get their energy directly from the water's chemicals through a process known as chemosynthesis. These hydrothermal vents spew black clouds of toxin, and the tube worm grows like a weed feeding on it. They can grow up to a massive 8 feet tall, quite the imposing sight to see deep below the ocean. Number 6. Volcano of Bats. What exactly is a volcano of bats? Well, if you haven't guessed already, it's not an actual volcano. Instead, the spewing of thousands of bats from a volcano-like hole at the top of a cave looks as if a volcano is erupting and spewing dark ash into the air. This curious-looking spot is in southern Mexico, where the locals have named the cave the Volcano of Bats for the site it represents. It's found that there are 8 different species of bats living in this cave together in harmony, with their numbers totaling several millions. When the sun begins to set, it's almost time for this magical eruption hour. At dusk, millions of bats explode from this hole in a swirling clock-like stream in the night. There are so many bats in this cave that it takes nearly 2 hours for the entire swarm to exit the opening. That's a lot of bats. Some locals even call it the Bat Tornado. Even though it's not a real volcano, it still deserves a spot on this list. Number 5. Bling Squat Lobster. It is the most daring of its species. Where its brothers and sisters would try to hide in their homes, the bling squat lobster sticks its head out, almost taunting predators to come and try it. The squat lobster, one of the most beautiful of its kind, is one of the most aggressive species that does not fear making itself known. But that doesn't mean it puts up much of a fight with a larger predator. Its shell is a lot thinner than its cousins, which means they're more susceptible to even more predators should they decide to take a swing at the little guy. Oddly, they lack any arsenal for self-defense to fend off any attacks. It's funny how the most aggressive of the species is the least prepared to tackle anyone who's going against it. Well, the bling squat lobster's got grit, we give it that. Number 4. Deep-sea vent barnacles. Barnacles have long been known as the bane of fishermen and sailors' existence. They live in the harshest areas of the ocean, including volcanoes and vents. They're also notoriously difficult to remove from ships and other organic matter. They're also often called crusty fowler by fishermen. A little-known fact about these pests, they don't only attach themselves to ships, but also to other animals, things, or even people, should they have the chance. So, how do they latch onto something? It's quite simple. They secrete a fast-curing glue, one of the strongest adhesives known to man. We're talking a whopping tensile strength of 5,000 pounds per square inch and an adhesive strength of 22 to 60 pounds per square inch. At the moment, scientists are searching for more and more ways to use it in everyday applications. Using barnacle glue could help eliminate an entire market riddled with animal cruelty and carelessness. From a sticky pest to a potential technological innovation, barnacles might hold the future. Number 3. Tonguefish. Flatfish are probably the largest component of the hydrothermal vent ecosystems. Included in this category of flatfish are the tonguefish, which are found in all vent habitats which have been observed. They eat the carcasses of dead fish and other aquatic creatures. They are quick to nibble and dart away, ensuring they're never too idle for a would-be predator. They swoop down, take a bite and circle around and do this until it gorged itself on the dead fish. They're essentially the vultures of the fish kind. Number 2. Zooarchid fish. There's very little known about the zooarchid fish. Where there's little knowledge, there's little research. We do know, however, that the zooarchid fish is another fish which finds its home in the toxic hydrothermal vents deep beneath the ocean. Like the other creatures on this list, it's unique merely because it survives the challenging environment. Even though very little is known about them, it's widely suspected that the zooarchid fish may have some tricks of their own. They've been around for apparently millions of years, but scientists have been aware of their existence for a mere 34 years. That's a lot of years to stay elusive. Before moving to number 1, here's a shocking entry into this list. We're living in a crazy world and even crazier times, and Mother Nature seems to be throwing a curveball after curveball. Could this mysterious creature be another curveball? The original source of this image is undetermined, but it looks like a shark is swimming in a volcano full of molten lava. We already know that sharks like making homes in volcanoes underwater because of the heat, but is it possible for them to live in lava or near it enough to not be burned? What do you think about this picture? Let us know in the comments. Number 1. Deep sea vent octopus. New technology has enabled scientists to capture intriguing yet haunting footage of a creature with a translucent body. At first it was believed to be the aforementioned Yeti crab, but was later discredited since the creature had tentacles for arms. The octopus was discovered at a depth of 2,394 meters, about half a mile deep in the ocean. It isn't the first octopus to be discovered in hydrovents, but it is most definitely the first with a translucent skin that uses it as camouflage. Very little is known of this octopus and has only been sighted a few times. Thank you for diving the depths with us in unraveling some of the most bizarre animals that live in the depths of the ocean near the hydrothermal vents. Though technology enables us to make these rare finds, the ocean floor is still a huge mystery even to this day. What untold mysteries are still yet to be discovered in the unexplored dark fathoms of the ocean? For such and crazier topics, be sure to smash the like button, share and subscribe, and we'll be back with more. Until next time.